So I came up with a list of 6 possible expansion locations for the NBA. I do agree that the NBA needs to expand, and I feel that expanding 6 more teams makes more sense. It's going to add more opportunities for players. It's going to add more job opportunities in terms of arenas and players and people working in the arenas and GMs and front office and secretaries and what have you. Before I get into this, I do think that Sacramento needs to move. I feel that the Kings need to move. They're not making money they're not making the money they're supposed to be making. I honestly think that they should go to Vegas. Vegas, they'd make more money. They'd have a better fan base, a bigger fan base. Looking at how the NHL, since they're going to Vegas, how they've sold out almost of all of their season tickets, that shows that the NBA needs to move to Vegas ASAP. With the Raiders going as well, that shows it. The NBA needs to do it quickly, and they shouldn't open an expansion. They should just move a team to it. That makes more sense. So, let me get into these expansions. Now, I came up with names for each one as well. Bear with me. I was going through and I found the name that fit the best. A lot of these names were so insanely out of this world, let's just say. It was a lot of college names is what I came across, and that's the issue. And I didn't want to name it off of college things. So, off of college names, I mean. So, bear with me. The first location I think that needs to be done, and what I did with this, before I start that, what I did is I did 3 Eastern Conference and 3 Western Conference. So I'm gonna go back and forth with Western Conference, and I'll just do all the Western Conference first, and then I'll do all the Eastern Conference. I was gonna go back and forth, but that just makes no sense. So I'm going to do all the Western Conference and then all the Eastern Conference. I am going to give ideas as well of possible owners to look into, to possibly purchase. Let's get into this. Okay. The first one for the Western Conference is Seattle. I think moving a team to Seattle makes no sense, but restarting the Supersonics the way that they were is perfect. So I think that just the Supersonics, put them back in Seattle. 2 possible people to look into to maybe purchase, or maybe as a group, would be Joe Roth, who currently owns the Seattle Sounders, which is the soccer team for the MLS. And then there's a gentleman named Chris Hansen, who is a hedge fund manager. He has been instrumental in trying to bring not only the NBA, but the NHL to Seattle. I feel that letting him do it is going to be the best possible choice, the best possible decision. The next team on my list is Vancouver. I think that, I would call them the Vancouver Warhawks. I feel like the Warhawks would be a really cool name, just specifically with Vancouver. Now, my thing is this: the person I think should buy it is Francesco Aquilini. You might not know who he is. However, he owns the Vancouver Canucks, but he used to own the Vancouver Grizzlies. So I think that, you're not going to bring the Grizzlies name back because the Grizzlies is in Memphis, but starting a new team in Vancouver, and they can share the arena with the Canucks, I think that is a great opportunity, a great possibility, especially expanding back into Canada the way that it's supposed to be done. It just makes so much sense. The final team in the West, I think would be St. Louis. I know St. Louis is pushing more of Eastern Conference, but I feel like it would be better off as a Western Conference, even though it's a weird shape up for East and West because Memphis is farther than Chicago, but yet it's West Coast, as is New Orleans. It makes no sense. So I think that St. Louis is the third choice. I would call them the St. Louis Rebels. I think that is a badass name, especially for a basketball team. That sounds incredible. One person to look into for that is Bill DeWitt, who currently owns the St. Louis Cardinals. I think he'd be interested. I think it would be a very good possibility to maybe even talk to the St. Louis Blues owner as a combination ownership kind of thing. Since the Blues already are established there, you have the arenas. I think you see where I'm going with this. Is I'm basically adding the fact of certain NHL teams are already in most of these cities. You could just have the ability, if you already have a set up arena, you just got to add a new team, which is kind of stupid, I know, but in a way, it's actually very, very strategic, because adding to these already established cities, you can then add new fan bases to this already established city. There you go. Now let's get to the Eastern Conference. There are 3 teams here that I feel very happy about that I thought of this. Buffalo. Now, the name for Buffalo was very hard to come up with a team. I said the Buffalo Bulldogs. It's, hey, if a team can be called the Pelicans, whatever. The name at this point doesn't matter, but I do feel that the person to look into to possibly purchase or start the team would be Terry Pegula. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He is the owner of the Buffalo Bills and the Buffalo Sabres. Already has the arena, already has the team set there. He just has to put another team there. It's strategic, very strategic, especially since upstate New York needs a basketball team badly too. That, I think, is strategic. The next team in the East that I would consider is Montreal, and I called them the Montreal Monarchs, and I think that is a badass name. Now, the one owner, that the NBA should look into for this is the Molson family. They currently own the Canadiens, which, again, strategically choosing the NHL teams that, the NHL owners that might be interested in another sport. There are plenty of other owners that might be considered that might want to have a team there. The Montreal Impact owners, the MLS team might want to consider. It's just strategy. Adding the extra teams to cities that kind of always have wanted basketball teams is where to go. The final team that I have come up with that I feel the best about, I feel that this one needs to happen the most, other than Seattle, of course, but I feel that this one needs to happen the most because this city's been asking for a basketball team for forever and a day. They need it, they deserve it, and there's a specific owner that should consider it. The Pittsburgh Paladins. I called them the Paladins because I feel like that would be a very strong and suitable name for Pittsburgh because of where they've come from. I was going to say the Pittsburgh Ironmen and the Pittsburgh Miners and all this other stuff, but I think the Steelers already did that work for them. So I think calling them the Paladins shows them as a strong force that no one's going to see coming. The one person I think that should purchase the team is Robert Nutting, the current owner of the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think this could be a very strategic thing, not just for the ownerships, but for the NBA as well, because think about the opportunities. Think about the possibilities. Think about the idea of maybe expanding more games. This could be the reason to expand and have more games in a season. It works. It always will work. Expanding strategically, not just to Virginia Beach or to Anaheim or to San Diego. I think if they're going to move to Anaheim, take a team that is currently established, not Sacramento, but somebody that makes sense to go there. I think if you're going to go to certain cities, move teams that are already there. But if you're going to start in somewhere new, like Montreal, Seattle, Vancouver, what have you, you need to just start over and make a new team and add to the already established idea. That's my time. That is the idea that I have. I think it's a great idea. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe. The button is right down below. Other than that, have a good day, guys.